Hi, I'm Jake, 32, and 3 months ago I did something every therapist I've ever had would probably slap me for. I bought my parents a $640,000 Lakeside Estate as a surprise retirement gift, not because they deserved it, not because they asked, but because I'm an idiot with unresolved childhood issues and a desperate, lifelong craving for approval from two people who once grounded me for showing off when I got into honors classes. Look, I'll own it, I wanted a movie moment, you know, the kind where the disappointing son, me, buys his bitter, perfectionist parents, them, a house, and suddenly everyone cries and hugs and says things like, "We were wrong about you," and "We're so proud." Instead, when I pulled up the long gravel driveway with a giant red bow on the front door like a deranged, 6-foot-tall Labrador trying to impress its owners, my mother was standing on the porch, arms crossed, face scrunched like she'd smelled something offensive. She didn't even say hello, she just pointed at the house and hissed, "Jake, what did you do? Not oh my god, a house, not is this for us? Not why are there 3 bathrooms? No." She looked at a luxury lakeside estate with a private dock and custom stone fireplace and acted like I'd delivered a dead raccoon in wrapping paper. I laughed awkwardly, because that's my default trauma response. Well, a surprise? Happy retirement. My father stepped outside next, holding a mug of coffee that said #OneDad, which was hilarious because I'd bought it for him and he'd never used it once until that moment. He squinted at me like I was a home intruder selling magazines. Then he said the exact sentence that kicked off the spiral my therapist now refers to as the unraveling. "Jake, did you buy this place with your own money?" I blinked. Yes? Why? And my mom, my dramatic, endlessly unsatisfied mother, pressed a hand to her chest, staggered back half a step, and said, "Do you have any idea what people will think when they find out our own son had to buy our retirement home?" That was the moment my stomach dropped, because I finally understood. They weren't upset about the cost. They weren't overwhelmed. They weren't shocked by generosity. They were embarrassed. I tried to explain, tried to tell them this was meant to be a thank you, a way to give them comfort after decades of scrimping and saving and, honestly, constantly complaining, but they weren't listening. My mom marched inside, grabbed a stack of towels from the linen closet, and stormed back out onto the porch. Then she shoved them into my chest so hard I stumbled. "Here," she snapped. "Take these back immediately. The towels. We're not accepting charity, Jacob. Especially not from you." And that was only the beginning. My mother shoved those towels at me like they were radioactive, and honestly, that was the moment I knew the visit was already circling the drain. But I still tried, because that's what adult children of emotionally constipated parents do. We keep trying like idiots. I followed her inside, carrying the stupid towels like some kind of disgraced hotel concierge. The estate was gorgeous. Vaulted ceilings, huge windows overlooking the lake, a kitchen nicer than anything I'll ever own because I spent the money on this. "Look," I said gently, "I bought this place because I wanted you two to have something beautiful. Something relaxing. You've worked your whole lives. You deserve." My mom whirled around so fast I swear the air whistled. "Don't you dare say we deserve anything from you." My dad chimed in, because he never misses a chance to make things worse. "You should have talked to us first, Jake. This makes us look irresponsible." Irresponsible, right, because nothing says irresponsible like letting your adult son buy you a lake mansion. I took a slow breath. "Okay. Then think of it as a gift. From me. From you." My mother barked a humorless laugh. "People will say we couldn't provide for ourselves. That our son had to step in like we're helpless." "I didn't buy you a walker," I muttered, earning the death glare of 2025. She stalked deeper into the house, opening cabinets, checking drawers, inspecting floors, all with the energy of someone searching for hidden cameras. "You didn't even ask what we wanted." "Well," I said, gesturing to the lake, "I thought you'd like something peaceful. Dad has always talked about fishing." My father cut me off. "That was before people started watching," he said. "Watching what?" He waved vaguely toward the windows, like the trees themselves were judging him. Our neighbors. The church group. Your cousins. If they find out you bought us a house, they'll assume we raised you wrong. I mean, I shrugged. Technically you did. My mother gasped like I'd slapped her with a fish. You see, she snapped at my father. He's always been ungrateful. Then, as if she'd been waiting for her cue, she delivered the line she'd clearly been rehearsing in her head for years. We didn't want your money, Jake. We wanted a son who didn't embarrass us. It felt like a punch to the ribs that I stared at them, my parents standing in a literal lakeside paradise I'd bought for them, and felt something inside me crack, but the real blow came next, because as I stood there trying to swallow the humiliation, my mother's face changed, her eyes narrowed, her head tilted. She looked at me like I was an overheated laptop about to shut down. Then she said, "Oh my God. You're not moving in with us, are you?" And that was the moment everything truly went off the rails. That I swear, I could have forgiven the towels, that I could have forgiven the embarrassment comments, that I could have even forgiven the whole, "We didn't want your money, we wanted a son who didn't embarrass us," Shakespearean dagger to the heart routine. But that moment, when my mother squinted at me and asked, horrified, "You're not moving in with us, are you?" That was the snap. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet internal click, like a seatbelt locking into place right before the car hits a wall. "No," I said. "Why would I move in with you?" My parents exchanged a look. A look I didn't recognize at first, something between suspicion and fear. Then my dad cleared his throat. "Well, it's just, you've been single for a long time." "Thanks, Dad." And, my mom added quickly, "You've never had a stable job before this. And buying this house, this extravagance, it just feels like," she wrung her hands, "like you're spiraling." "Spiraling?" I repeated. "For buying you a retirement home?" "Yes," she cried. "Normal people don't do that." I blinked. "You realize wealthy people buy their parents' houses all the time." My mother sniffed. "We're not wealthy people, Jake. We're respectable." My father stepped closer, squinting like he was examining a wound. "Are you lonely?" "What?" "It's okay," he said gently, like he was talking to a wounded raccoon. "We know life hasn't turned out the way you planned." I looked around wildly. "I own a business. I'm financially stable. I just gifted you a lake estate. How does that translate to?" My mother gasped dramatically, Oscar-worthy. "Is this a cry for help?" "A cry for what?" She clutched my father's arm. "Oh, Harold, we should have seen the signs." "There are no signs." I shouted to him. Why? Father nodded sadly. "Son, if you needed a place to stay, you could have just said so. You didn't need to buy us a house to win our affection." "Win?" I choked. "This isn't." "I didn't." "What?" Their expressions softened in that pitying, infuriating way, like they were comforting a toddler who'd drawn on the walls. My mother guided me to the sofa. "Jake," she said softly, "have you considered therapy?" I blinked at her. "You literally shamed me for going to therapy for 5 years." "Well, yes," she said. "But we thought you'd outgrown it." Outgrown it, like it was a phase, like emotional health was chickenpox. Then came the line that fully detonated the situation. "Jake," my father said gently, "if you're fragile, or we need to know before we move in here. This house is big. And isolated. It wouldn't be safe if you were unstable." Unstable, that word froze me. Because with that single word, my parents turned my gift into a liability, a threat, a problem. I stood, chest tight. "Okay. You know what? Let's go outside." My mother paled. "Oh my God, he's going to push us into the lake." "For the love of Eno. I want to show you something." I marched to the door, they reluctantly followed, and I stopped on the porch overlooking the lake. I turned to them. "This is where I imagined you'd sit," I said quietly. "With coffee. Watching the water. Peaceful. Happy. Proud of yourselves. Proud of me." My mother's face softened for a moment, but then she ruined it by whispering to my father loudly, "He's definitely having some sort of breakdown." That was it. The last thread snapped that I took a breath, turned back to them, and said the sentence that changed everything. I'm selling the house. Silence, wind, bird noise, then, what? They shouted in perfect harmony. Oh, I said, voice calm and even, now you care. And this is where the story explodes, because my mother's face twisted into something I'd never seen before, panic, betrayal, fury, and she said, "You owe us this house, Jake." And behind her, my father nodded, like it was obvious. Like I owed them a $640,000 estate simply for existing. "You owe us this house, Jake." I swear, the seagulls went silent. Even the lake paused mid-ripple. I stared at my parents, waiting for the punchline. A smirk. A giggle. Any sign they were joking. Nope. Straight faces, full seriousness, like I was the unhinged one. "I owe you," I repeated slowly. "For what?" My mother crossed her arms, chin lifted like a queen sentencing a peasant. "For everything we've ever done for you." "Name one," I said. She blinked, then blinked again. My dad jumped in. "We gave you a roof." "Yeah," I said, "and also emotional trauma, chronic anxiety, and a lifelong inability to accept compliments without sweating." My mother scoffed. "You're so dramatic." Dramatic. Right. The word coming from a woman who fake coughed so hard during my high school graduation speech that my principal asked if she needed an ambulance. "I bought you a house," I said, "and you both acted like I dropped off an IRS audit. So no, I'm not giving you something you clearly hate." "We don't hate it," my mom protested. "We hate how it looks." "How what looks?" I asked. "How it looks that you bought it," she said, like it was obvious. "What will people assume? That we're failures? That we didn't prepare for retirement? That we raised a show-off?" "A show-off," I repeated. "For giving you a gift." My father rubbed his temples. "This is exactly the kind of impulsive behavior we were worried about. Buying houses, making rash decisions." "Rash?" I snapped. "I make more than both of you combined." "Bad move." "Very bad move." Their eyes narrowed in perfect synchronized resentment. My mother stepped forward, finger pointed at my chest. "Listen to me, Jacob. If you sell this house, you are abandoning your family." "Oh," I said. For the first time in my life, those words finally make sense. Because trust me, I'm feeling very abandoned right now. She gasped like I'd punched her in the soul. "After everything we sacrificed for you." "You sacrificed my childhood," I interrupted. "Not for me. On me." My father raised a brow. "Is this about the fact we didn't come to your college graduation?" "We told you that the dog had allergies," I finished. "Yes. I remember." My mother stomped her foot. "Jake, you are being unreasonable. We deserve this house." "No," I said quietly. "You don't." There was a beat of silence before my father said the most dad-gaslighting thing he'd ever said. "Well, your brother would have given us one." I blinked. "You mean the brother who hasn't called you in 6 years?" My mom sniffed. "He's busy, but he still respects us." "Yeah," I said, "because he never talks to you." Then, the moment. The one that flipped the entire dynamic like a table. My mother marched past me, grabbed the front door handle of the estate, and said, "We're moving in. Right now. And you can't stop us." I laughed, out loud, like a lunatic. "You think you can, what, squat in a $640,000 property I paid for?" "We already brought suitcases," she said proudly. "Check the trunk." And sure enough, 3 giant suitcases sat in the back of their car, zipped and ready. "Oh my God," I whispered. "You came prepared." "You can't take this from us," my father said sternly. "We are your parents." "Exactly," I said. "And that's why this ends today." I pulled the house key from my pocket, dangled it in front of them, then slid it back into my jacket. No move-ins. No living here. No guilt trips. No manipulation. This house is mine until it's sold. My mother lunged for my jacket, that I took a step back, and that's when she said the line that made my blood run cold. "If you walk away from us today, Jacob, don't bother coming back." I took a breath, met her eyes, and said, "I won't." Her mouth fell open. My father froze, the air went still, and then, my mother said the one thing, that pushed the situation from messy to catastrophic. "Well then," she snarled, "you just threw away your last chance to be part of this family. And you'll regret it when you find out what we've been hiding." What they'd been hiding, that was the turning point. Everything after this, explosive. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. Because when a parent says, "You'll regret it when you find out what we've been hiding," they're not talking about something normal like a surprise birthday party or an old family recipe. No, that's the tone people use when they're about to drop something nuclear. What does that mean? I asked slowly. My mother crossed her arms, tilting her head with that smug church lady righteousness she loves to weaponize. "Oh, so now you want to talk," she said. "Too late." My father gave me a tight smile that I'm convinced he practiced in a mirror. "You walked away, son. Actions have consequences." I stared at them, waiting for more. They said nothing. So I turned, walked toward my car, and said over my shoulder, "Great. Then whatever you're hiding, enjoy it." That should have been the end, but it wasn't, because the second I reached my car door, my mother cracked like a microwaved potato. "Fine," she shouted. "Your Aunt Denise moved in with us." I turned slowly. "Okay? And my mom sputtered. "She lost her condo because she co-signed a loan for your cousin Trenton's failed drone photography business." I blinked, and now she's sleeping in your old room," she said, triumphant, like this was the big reveal that I waited. "That," she concluded, "is what we've been hiding." I blinked again. That was the secret? Aunt Denise and her tragic dating history. That's the thing I'd regret. But then my father stepped forward, lowering his voice dramatically, "And she's planning to stay indefinitely." Still not seeing the problem. Aunt Denise was kind. She bought me ice cream. She let me watch PG-13 movies. She was, frankly, the only fun adult in my childhood. "Okay?" I said. "That's fine." My mother's jaw dropped. "Jake. She will be part of the family decisions." Still not seeing the problem. "She'll have a say in everything," my father added, as if he were describing a hostile takeover. Again, "Okay?" That's when my mother delivered the real kicker. "She thinks," she said in a horrified whisper, "that you should inherit the house when we're gone." I blinked. There it was, the secret, the real secret. Not Denise, not the loan, not the room, the inheritance, the one thing my parents have held over my head my entire life, their beloved, crumbling, two-bedroom suburban ranch with the avocado-colored bathtub and the basement that floods every time someone sneezes within a 5-mile radius. That house. "Oh," I said. "So she wants to leave me the house. And the life insurance," my mom added bitterly. "She thinks you've earned it." "Earned it?" my father scoffed. "For what? Being dramatic? Going to therapy? Buying us a lake mansion we didn't ask for?" I couldn't help it, I laughed, because suddenly it all made sense. The panic, the screaming, the guilt, the suitcases, the meltdown. They weren't upset because I bought them a house. They were upset because A. It made them feel inferior. B. It made them look dependent. C. It made me look successful. D. And worst of all, Aunt Denise noticed my mother stomp closer. "You will not take what's rightfully your brother's." Ah yes, the golden child, the man who calls twice a year and once by accident. I leaned against my car. "So let me get this straight. You're furious because Aunt Denise thinks I should inherit your tiny, moldy house someday. And to prevent that, you want me to give you this house now." Both nodded in grim unison. "So, you want to trade?" I asked. "Your house for this one?" My mother scoffed. "Don't be ridiculous. We want both." I stared at them, they stared at me, and that's when the Real explosion hit, because a car pulled into the driveway behind mine. Aunt Denise stepped out, holding paperwork, and she shouted, "Jake! They lied to you. My parents' faces turned the exact color of spoiled yogurt that a car pulled into the driveway, and my parents froze like guilty toddlers caught with permanent markers. Aunt Denise stepped out holding a folder like she'd been rehearsing this moment for sport. "Jake," she shouted. "They lied to you." My mom went pale. My dad whispered, "Oh God." Denise shoved the papers into my hands that I glanced down. "A trust?" "Yes," she said. "The one they never wanted you to see." My mom lunged for it, missed entirely. Denise pointed at the document. "Everything, house, savings, life insurance, all of it goes to you. You're the only beneficiary." My mother screamed like I'd just announced her funeral dates. "This is wrong. We meant to leave everything to your brother. We just didn't want to pay the lawyer $400 to update it." There it was, not a conspiracy, just cheapness and 12 years of lying. "You don't deserve this inheritance," my father said. "You're irresponsible. You bought us a house we didn't ask for." I raised an eyebrow. "So I bought you a house you hate, but you want the inheritance I didn't even know I had?" They sputtered. Then my mom snapped, "If you don't hand it over, we are cutting you out of this family." I laughed. "You already did that years ago." And calmly, clearly, without hesitation, I said, "I'm rewriting the trust." My mom brightened, until I finished. "And I'm giving everything to Aunt Denise." Denise gasped like she'd won the lottery. My parents looked like collapsing lawn chairs. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. My mother's scream could have cracked glass. Aunt Denise marched up waving paperwork like a knight bringing receipts to a royal duel. "Jake, they lied to you," she announced before my parents even had time to activate their guilt trip reflexes. That I opened the folder. "A trust." My dad groaned. My mom hissed. Denise grinned. "Everything goes to you," she said. "House, money, insurance. You're the only beneficiary." My mother shrieked. "We never updated it because the lawyer is $400. So the truth wasn't evil or complicated, it was just cheap." And, Denise added, "They've been telling everyone they cut you out years ago." My parents simultaneously tried to spin it. "Jake, you weren't supposed to know. You can't handle inheritance. You embarrass us." I held up a hand. "So I bought you a lake house and you hated it, but you want me to keep the inheritance I didn't even know about?" My dad stepped forward. "You'll give it to your brother, right?" I smiled. "No. I'm giving it all to Denise." My parents screamed. Denise nearly fainted from joy. I'd never felt calmer. I drove home in silence, the kind that feels like someone finally opened a window in a too small room. The next morning, Denise texted, "Best day ever. When do we update the trust?" We met with the lawyer. Quick signatures. Done. My parents tried everything. Emails, voicemails, guilt sermons written like doomsday prophecies. I blocked them all, and the wild part. My life immediately got quieter, cleaner, lighter, no more manipulation, no more performance parenting, no more begging for approval. I was never going to get. 3 weeks later, the lake house sold. Full value. No drama. I took Aunt Denise out to dinner to thank her. She raised her wine and said, "To choosing the people who actually show up." Then, after a beat, "And to me, for being the only sane person in this gene pool." We laughed. And for the first time, it felt like a real family moment. My parents still send letters I'll never open. My brother still blames me for everything. But none of that belongs to me anymore. I walk forward without them. And honestly, it feels like peace.